organization that focuses on the development of ICT policy. Program Director for the Roadshow, Bevel Wooding, says the idea is really to encourage and highlight innovative uses of ICT.
What we're looking for in the face of global crisis, energy crisis, and various other challenges that the region is currently facing, we're looking for indigenous and relevant applications for ICTs that can be used to not only buffer against some of the challenges that the countries in the region are facing, but also used to provide a sustainable platform for development.
The ICT Roadshow will cover 20 Caribbean countries over the period August 20, 2009 to October 2010. Since the launch of an executive forum in Grenada, the Roadshow has made stops in Belize, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Curacao. It heads to Suriname next month before the final phase of the Jamaican leg from February 10 to 12 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Leading up to that period, the CTU will host a series of build-up events across the island.
We want to get out to communities in Montego Bay. We want to reach Ocho Rios, touch Mandeville. All aspects of the society have to understand and receive this, what we feel is very useful and very relevant information on how ICT can be used to meet real challenges for the everyday man.
Mr. Wooding says the Roadshow is targeting every sector and segment of the Caribbean community. Those were the stories making the news today. For more information, please visit our website at www.jis.gov.jm. Stay with us. Jamaica Magazine continues.
Did you know that the influenza A H1N1 virus spreads just like the seasonal flu? The flu virus spreads mainly from person to person through coughing or sneezing. You may even become infected by touching things that the flu virus is on and then touching your mouth or your nose. So to avoid contracting the influenza A H1N1 virus, try not to touch surfaces that may be contaminated and keep away from persons who have flu symptoms. A message from the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Thanks for staying with us. We now explore the work being done by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management to make Jamaican roofs safe and secure in a natural disaster.
You know the saying, at least you have a roof over your head? You use that to reassure yourself that no matter how bad things are, you're safe. At least you have your house.
But every year we can expect some powerful hurricanes to head for the Caribbean. And those of you who have lived through a destructive hurricane
know that having a roof over your head depends on how it was put on. Now let's look at that timber frame roof and see what happens.
In a hurricane, winds spin around across the roof, creating a suction force, pulling upwards. At the same time, inside a locked house, pressure builds up, pushing upwards against the roof and sideways against the walls. Winds also get under the eaves and batter the edges of your roof. Unless a roof is properly anchored and has enough pitch or slope, hurricane-force winds are likely to leave you exposed to the elements and running for cover.
Prevention is better than cure. Replacing a roof can be a very expensive exercise. So how should your roof be attached to the walls of your building? First, let's look at the elements of a timber frame roof.
The wall plate is the lumber that sits on the top of the walls. Attached to the wall plate are the rafters. The rafters slant up and are attached to the ridge board that runs the length of the roof. Lats run horizontally or across the rafters. And finally, the sarking or the roof sheeting is secured to the lats.
Those are the main components of a timber frame roof. Now, let's look at how each element is attached to the other to create a strong hurricane-resistant roof.
First, the wall plate must be firmly attached to the walls. bolts must be sunk at least 5 inches into the concrete belt beam at the top of the wall. Bolts should be placed about 4 feet apart with several inches protruding. This allows the wall plate to be placed over the bolts and firmly secured using washers. The common practice is to use bent steel from the blockwork to fasten the wall plate. But experience has shown that hurricane winds can straighten the steel and lift the plate off the wall, taking an entire roof section with it. Bolts, or the use of metal straps over the wall plate and the secure to the wall, are the strongest methods of securing the plate. Use the longest possible lengths of timber everywhere in the roof frame. Every joint in the timberwork presents a weak spot.
Next are the rafters. These are the weak links in many roofs that appear to be strong. Rafters are usually attached to the wall plate using diagonal nails. But without these hurricane straps, winds will loosen the nails, remove the rafters from the wall plate, and there goes your roof.
Install hurricane straps from every rafter to the wall plate. Straps may be nailed, but in all cases, screws are the strongest option. Having a proper pitch to your roof is also important. This reduces the wind pressure on the rafters. Flatter roofs receive more of that suction from the swirling winds and are more likely to separate at the ridge. Roofs therefore need to have sufficient slope or pitch. And in addition to that, rafters need to be tied together with collar ties like these at every second or third pair of rafters. This is a very important element in creating a strong frame. If you want rafters as a feature in a room and don't want to see the collar ties, then use metal straps over the top of the rafters. Next come the lats. Lats need to be spaced no more than 2 feet 6 inches apart and should be fixed to the rafters with 1 screw or 2 nails.
Then there's a zinc or aluminum sheeting. Zinc sheets must be 26 gauge and the overlap must be at least 2 corrugations deep.
Again, screws are much better here than nails. But if you are using nails, make sure to use zinc nails. Screws or nails should be used at every other corrugation along the edge and every third corrugation across the rest of the sheets. This is very important, as hurricane winds will roll up the edges of the metal sheeting that are not properly secured and twist the sheeting of the frame. Finally, there are your eaves and gables. Your overhang should not be more than 18 inches.
If you're building a house with a covered balcony or patio, it's best to construct a separate roof for that area. It's easier to replace a small roof than to lose the entire main cover because the wind was able to get under the large overhang and tear your roof off.
However, if you already have that large overhang, then consider boxing in your eaves and gables. Boxing or closing in your eaves and gables will remove those pockets between the rafters that the wind uses to push upwards on your roof. Finally, paint your zinc to prevent rusting.
So there it is, a strong roof. The important features are
bolting the wall plates to the wall, hurricane straps from every rafter to the wall plate, collar ties to hold rafters and ridgeboard together, 1 screw or 2 nails in each lath, a short overhang, 26 gauge zinc and screws if possible placed at every other corrugation along the edge and at every third corrugation across the rest of the sheeting. Painting your zinc.
Now let us look at how to put on some decorative roof finishes. Now that we have dealt with the timber frame roof, we're going to be looking at the sarking. Sarking is using tongue and groove over the rafters.
Okay, this roof that we're gonna be doing now, this roof, it's already